Hello and welcome to episode 101 of Celtic Rumours TV, the Bawz and Bovril podcast with your host Mark and myself, Paul. You can check out all the links to the podcast in the description below. Also, don't forget to hit the like button if you like what myself and Mark do. On tonight's show, we'll take a look back at yesterday's 6-1 thrashing of Hibs at Celtic Park, a look ahead to Wednesday's game against Motherwell in the League Cup quarter final at Fort Park, and we'll also talk about the introduction of VAR next week in the SPL weekend's game. Firstly, though, I'll head off to Mark for a few shout outs.
Thanks very much, Paul. A few shout outs to the guys on the forum, Tim Alloy, Richie and his family at Glasgow Green. A wee special shout out to Jerry McGinn. He's been helping me sort out our wee studio thing, Paul, and went above and beyond. We want to see the wee PC and that he's bought us, man. He bought his bolters and it was cost us buttons for what he's done. So a big shout out to Jerry. Thanks very much for that. Guys who's joining us, have we got Jabber, they're jabbering evening, Jabber, Mikey, Brian, nice to see you in, Brian. Bobby, as always, Bobby's here, good to see you, Bobby. As Paul says, if you know what to do, hit the like button and leave a comment as well, because that helps grow this thing on the YouTube algorithm and that. Links to our forum, everything, our forum, our Discord, we've got a video game in Discord, there's a link to all that in the description box below through our link tree. So if you're looking to get involved with any of that, feel free to come and join in. You got a good crack in that. So everybody's more than welcome to go on to come on any day. On you go, bud.
Celtic 6, Hibs 1. Starting lineup was Hart, Bannaby, Jens, Vickers, Wilson, Moy, O'Reilly, Hayate, Forrest, Gio, Haksbanovic. Score was James Forrest, 3 goals, Gio, 2 goals, Marita. James Forrest joins the elite club of 100 goals for Celtic. 20 trophies, 10 league titles, 5 league cups, 5 Scottish cups. A Celtic man through and through. He justified his starting lineup yesterday. The stats for the game were shots 20 to Celtic, 9 to Hibs, on target 9 to 5, possession 58 to 42, passes 521 to 383, 85% accuracy. Mark, I suppose before we start, I think we have to talk about, firstly, when the lineup came in, I think everyone was going James Forrest.
No, it wasn't even just James Forrest, Paul. Just, as soon as I seen the lineup, I said on the live chat and that, I was like, oh, this could be a long day for us. But Aaron Moy, I mean, you know how I feel about him, but hands up, I thought he had a good game yesterday, Aaron Moy. And again, James Forrest made me a big bowl of humble pie. I've given him pelters over the years, but you can't argue with the stats, Paul, but I still think he could. I'm always going to put a dampener on it. I still think he could have done a little better over the years for us. For the length of time he's been here, I think he should have reached 100 goals for Celtic a long time ago. But I'm delighted for him.
Yeah.
I mean, if he can find that kind of form, Paul.
Exactly, Mark.
Consistently, I'm not saying he's going to be first choice all the time, but if he can find that kind of, if Forrest can find that kind of form consistently, Paul, he's going to be snapping at the heels of the first choicers. Do you know what I mean? We just kind of assumed he'd just been naming a squad player this year, really, didn't we? But
that seems to be the problem, Mark.
If he's producing like that, but he's going to be keeping the rest of the wingers on their toes because he's. Oh, I mean, that was his first start as well, wasn't it, for the full season?
Is it down to Mark maybe, and actually not starting James Forrest till he felt he was right? You know,
it might be,
he looked more fitter, he looks more slimmer.
He's always struggled with that. That's one side of the thing. Forrest always struggled with, like keeping fit, kind of his body weight and stuff like that. So maybe it's just over the last few months he's really it's kind of kicked in and started working, because he did look a lot fitter and a lot leaner, as you're saying. I was totally taken aback with him, Paul. I really was. I was shocked.
Even the runs, Mark, he was making, like it was James Forrest under. It looked like James Forrest when we had Patrick Roberts there. When he was playing under Ronnie Doyle as well, like he looked fast, he was taking on players yesterday. And it could be down to a number of things, like it could be down to proper structure in the club, Mark, sports science department, maybe working with James Forrest, maybe looking at these injuries that he was having. Do you get me? You know, could be all that, but like
you can't take it away from his performance.
Great goals, Mark. I mean, like, I know. You know, James Forrest of old coming in off the wings, scoring goals, getting into right positions. Do you know what I mean? It was just I wasn't expecting that performance yesterday, Mark.
No.
I thought Hibs were giving us a tough game, and Hibs played the way Hibs play, I think, Mark, and just
Well,
they couldn't handle
I
Celtic.
spoke to Mikey, was it Friday or Thursday or something? I was talking to Mikey, and I said to Mikey, and we were talking about it, and we thought, this is going to be a tough game. Hibs were in a good run.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were sitting third in the league. I don't know what's happened to this weekend, but they were sitting third in the league. They'd been a good run. Even they beat Dundee United, beat them, but Mikey says that Jonas was at the game and says that Hibs had pure battered them. They were lucky to get away with the points in that. So I was expecting a right hard game for Celtic. But I said as well, Paul, if you can get that early goal, it's always a good thing. And we go at that. So maybe that was a kind of catalyst to go into that kind of performance that we had. But I was expecting more for Hibs, to be honest. I really was. And maybe that's me taking something away from the Celtic performance, Paul. Maybe Celtic performance was just that good.
Mark,
when do you ever see a manager making 3 or 4 substitutions at once at half time?
Mm-hmm.
So you can tell with the Hibs manager, he looked as if he jumped out the next catalogue rather than be turned up to like manage a football game. But he must not have been a happy chappy when he got into that dressing room, and you can't blame him. Hibs, they were terrible, really. They really were terrible.
They were, Mark, I think, as well. Looking
evening turns, all right, turns. A wee family night the night. That's how he's known.
Our speed seemed to be back as well yesterday, Mark. There's 2 players who I want to talk about, Mark. One is Haksabanovic. No, he's not fully fit because Andrew St. Louis took him off because he was carrying an old ankle injury, and they were kind of protecting that.
He wanted to play, so they said they would give him the first half. That was the kind of message I kind of got for it.
Mm-hmm. And Barnaby, Mark, at left back, I mean, him bombing up that ring, Mark. And I know Taylor's improved, but Mark, you can't see Taylor going at speed like that up that wing, and they have to get back. And his distribution, Mark, throughout the game, I thought was brilliant. You know,
could it be? Again, Mikey says it as well. He compared him to Izagiri, and that's who kind of Bernabeu reminded me. But is it maybe, Paul, when we're needing a defensive left back, we go with Taylor? And when we're going to be in the front footer that a lot, we can maybe go with Bernabeu. I'll say for the Haksabanovic, I'll tell you, he puts in a better shift than Jota.
Oh, brilliant!
And for me, that's an important thing. We've spoke about that, Paul, especially in the Champions League games. Jota was no tracking back, but the shift that Haksabanovic puts in, I thought I was really impressed with him as well yesterday.
Really, Mark, like he was even. Don't forget as well. Like
Bernabeu can play at left wing. He can do. He's played at left wing before. He can play anywhere up that left hand side. So we could even go with a kind of Greg Taylor and Bernabeu duo sometimes. But I really impressed with they two. Abelgar as well when he came on. We need to start getting him in the starting team somehow. I think as well.
Maybe Ange Mark is kind of breathing him in. Is Ange maybe breathing him in a bit slower, getting him these couple of minutes? Then he's going to wait to start him, maybe like Haksabanovic he did with him.
But it's like that's us halfway through October now, Paul, and we don't know if he's going to be here next season. So what's the point of bringing him in?
Yeah, that's the question.
Do you get what I mean? There's no doubt he's a cracking player. It was said about Atletico Madrid and that been in for him for £20 million, €20 million. So he's got something about him, and I've been impressed any time I've seen him coming on. But again, is it down to Andrew's favourites? I thought yesterday would have been an ideal time to give the guy like a start, but he went with Moy. But we can't slag it off because it worked out, and Moy did play well. He really did. Evening, Rod. Thanks for coming in there, Rod.
But it was O'Reilly playing in McGregor's role again yesterday, and I am actually looking, Mark, and I think O'Reilly actually brings a toughness to that role, in something that we spoke about McGregor over the years, Mark, that he doesn't bring this kind of tough. And O'Reilly is a player, Mark, that I like. He likes to win for a tackle. Like, he doesn't mind to be roughed up or thing like. And we can see with his distribution as well, Mark. It's brilliant with O'Reilly, like, you know.
Well, I said that before, even before McGregor was even out, injured, Paul, that I would like to see O'Reilly playing in there. I don't get it wrong, he's not ideal the now, but maybe he can grow into the role a bit. I mean, he's only played it twice for us. I know they said he played at MK Dons and that, but he's only done it twice for us. And I don't think he's really let us down.
No.
So I used to call wee O'Reilly and that, just to be Faulty Towers joke, but it wasn't until a couple of months back just that I realised he was actually 6'2". So he's a big bit of a lump, do you know what I mean? And I'd like to see him get, well, obviously he's going to probably get a run in there, but that's defeating what I'm saying about Abelgar, isn't it? I don't know, it's rotten to say, but it might be a good thing to find out what players can play in that position while McGregor is out injured.
And another player, and I'm constantly saying it, I actually prefer him just because of his physical side of the game that he brings with Mark, and I think we saw that yesterday when they were trying to play the long balls over to Boyle and stuff like that. Is Radisson? He for me, Mark, he just brings so much more to the Celtic team at the moment than what Juranovic brings. I think maybe Juranovic's head was turned, Mark, when all the speculation was thinking, but he doesn't look the same player as last season. He's been out of form for a while.
Maybe again, Paul, it's going to be see what I'm saying with Taylor. Maybe do the same thing with Ralston and Juranovic. Juranovic is reading of the game, and that's different gravy compared to Ralston. Do you know what I mean? Ralston is made of like physical big runs and that, but for me, Ralston's better going forward than his defending, Paul.
Do you know, yesterday when I was looking at the stats for the game, yesterday's game was the highest rate that our inverted fullbacks got forward throughout the whole game, percentage-wise. It was at 91% mark throughout the whole game between Barnaby and Radisson pushing up.
Barnaby just seemed to be everywhere. He really did. Brian asking serious question. Are we missing Calmac? Will we miss him? I think he will miss it. Well, to an extent. I mean, he's a quality player, so you're going to miss him to an extent, but I mean,
but this result, Mark, will only bring confidence into the team.
Aye,
you know what I mean?
Aye, and it's giving other players a chance, Paul. But we keep going on about how big and good the squad is. Well, this is the time to prove it. I mean, any team would. I think McGregor. I honestly, and I'm not just saying this. I honestly think Cal McGregor could play at any level. I really do. I think he's got that kind of composure and temperament and skill sets. I really do. I think Cal McGregor could have went on and played at probably the highest level of football, one of the big teams. I've no doubt about it. So obviously you're going to miss a player that's that calibre, but we've got other good players. If we see there, we're saying about we're talking about O'Reilly playing well in it. Moy, well, we didn't play in that role, but he did a good game. We've still got the Jimmy Mack conundrum into it. What's going to happen with him and stuff like that. So I think we'll miss him, but I don't think it'll have any great effect in the team. Does that make sense? I think we will miss him, but I don't think it'll be any different. I don't think it's going to be a major spanner in the works here, Brian.
I think, Mark, if it was last season, we saw the importance of Calmac when he was out injured. We kind of missed him, but now Ange has got the players that he wanted, and we actually have the players now to fit into these positions. Do you get me?
Aye. Will Ange maybe see? Could Ange stumble across this kind of? We're all going on about we need a bit of muscle, a proper defensive midfielder in there, kind of thing. Could this maybe open Ange's eyes to seeing somebody that's got a bit of physicality, like O'Reilly, seeing the difference of having a good ball player, but with the physical side of the game added into it, kind of thing, sir. It'll be interesting as well to see how Ange. I mean, we've got a wad of games coming up between now and the World Cup, so it'll be interesting to see if he sticks with O'Reilly there or tries to maybe gives Jimmy Mack a wee chance in there or that. I think, Mark, the thing that every Celtic fan was looking for yesterday was we were looking for the high intensity. We were looking for the passing that we know this team can do, and we got that yesterday. Something clicked yesterday. I think the players. Do you think maybe, Mark, the players felt this kind of pressure from the fans that
they knew they had to step up. They knew they had to put on a performance, and surely they did. Like,
not even for the fans, Paul. I'd like to think for Ange, they knew that they had to put in a good performance. I mean, but we weren't back to our kind of I know that sounds ridiculous when we won 6-1, but we weren't back to our kind of swashbuckling self that we've seen at the beginning of the season. But it was a hell of a lot of improvement on what we've been used to the last few weeks. It was totally night and day, Paul. Just the passing, the quickness here, the pressing, everything. It was. As I say, I'm not comparing it to earlier on in the season, but we're nearly back there. Do you get what I mean?
We were more clinical, Mark, in front of goal as well. Yesterday, I think Gio kind of provided a lot of that as well. He kind of brought a big presence as well up front. Something that we were saying we were missing, like, you know what I mean? And we're crossing balls in there, and like they're going over Kyogo's head, or you know, we had a proper porter in there yesterday as well, you know, and he was lucky not to get a hat trick, you know.
Oh, I know, yeah, he definitely was unlucky, but it's just. Well, you've got to hand it to James Forrest. Yes, you've got to hand it to him with his hat trick. But even apart from that, the rest of the team as well. It was more clinical, Paul. It was more directness. Do you get what I mean? Jota's just that much off the boil as well, Paul. I think he's wasting a lot of our attacking play than now when he's playing.
Green kind of came into his kind of.
His his decision making.
Yeah,
I think his decision making's been affecting a lot of our attacking player the last few games in that. And I mean, we know that Forrest in front of goal, Forrest scored you goals. Do you get what I mean? Forrest probably could have been a striker if he'd maybe been a bit taller or that kind of thing, Paul. But and again, as I said the other night, Paul, we were needing midfielders not to start chipping in with more goals. And there yesterday, 4 of them, you know what I mean? Maida even got a goal yesterday.
Delighted for Maida, Mark. Really
hopefully that kind of gets his heat back near in the kind of back and settled.
Yeah.
I thought. I mean, he did. I thought he did a decent enough game.
I think he was tracking back to let Mark.
I think he was blowing out his backside. I think he should have probably get took off. But I thought that was maybe one of his better games in a long time as well. So hopefully maybe that's him turned the corner.
Yeah, because he seemed to be kind of tracking back as well, helping out the left, Mark, and he seemed to be like he was going into tackles as well. I remember there was one there when they were running on goal, and it was actually Marida that played the slide tackle, you know. And
aye,
you know, like we have to talk about Jens as well, Mark, and Vickers, because I think two of them actually are playing well together as well. Like we've seen in the past, Mark, Celtic defence struggle against big players, and Bawz a big player, but he didn't get a sniff against the two lads yesterday. They just controlled that game, and it's what the calmness Vickers brings to that team, Mark. In this,
I think the defence is fine as long as Carter Vickers is in it. Whether it's Jens, who I've been impressed again, Paul, the last couple of games, I was a bit dithered with him. I thought he looked awfully lightweight and a bit sloppy in that. But one, he hit a pass yesterday with outside his left foot, man. It was a pure belter out to the left-hand side wing. But I've been impressed with Jens. But as long as Carter Vickers is there, I'm quite comfortable with whoever's going to be playing next to him.
I can actually see why Ange gave the captain's armband, Mark, to Vickers, because he's a talker, Mark. I mean, he organises that defence. Do you know what I mean? He, as you said, like he does things to
Maida was the man of the match for me, Brian, saying, I maybe wouldn't go that for Brian, man, after wee James getting a hat trick. But he definitely was his best game for a while.
It's you have to give it to James Forrest, like, but like the Barnaby and Haksabanovic as well are up there. Like, I mean, they could have easily. I know he only played half a match, but that performance by him, Mark, yesterday, I just thought he was brilliant, Mark. We haven't seen the best of him yet. Do you know what I mean?
No, anyway, you have. Once he gets a run of games under his belt and fully up to speed, he could be frightening for us. He really could. Did you think Jabber saying? Do you think Jota walks back into the team?
I don't know, Mark. Do you know what I mean? So, but no, and Angie probably could. Like, you know what I mean? You know, like.
I think
after this team winning, Mark, I'd go with this team with Motherwell. Do you get me?
I see, that's the worry into it. Is he going to chop and change it? Because it's
that's it, Mark. And I think that's is that maybe upsetting the consistency of the team? Do you mean we had a limited squad last season, but you could always kind of predict the starting level under Ange last season? Do you get me?
I would even just go with that starting 11 there on Saturday, which was a mix of backup players and first team players.
Yeah.
I think what he tried there on Saturday, Paul, was the same kind of experiment as he was trying at St Mirren. And it didn't click then, but it
the St Mirren just made too many changes, didn't he?
I think so.
I think that's what caught him, Mark. Like it's grand making 3 or 4 changes like he did. Yes, I know some of them know how he had to make because of injury, but not change the whole team. Do you know what I mean? I at the moment, Mark, you're talking about Jota there. Like you have to talk about the way Gio took his goal yesterday, Mark. How can you see Kyogo getting into team at the moment? Like there's so many questions you have to ask. Like you know what I mean?
Kyogo's never a striker for me. Never in a month.
Well, Mark, we saw it yesterday, right? Sorry, don't cut across. We saw it yesterday. Something that you've been screaming for since we signed Kyogo and Gio. You wanted to see Tuva on the pitch and Kyogo behind him. Now, Ange did that yesterday, and I don't see why Ange doesn't start this to see if it works. Do you know what I mean? For a full 45 minutes.
Even get a try. It's definitely something I think he should, but I'll be surprised. Well, I really would be surprised if I seen him starting a game like that. But for me, out and out, 100%, Paul, Gio Marcus has got to be the main striker because that's what he is. You want your main striker. You want your striker to score goals, and that's what Gio Marcus does. There's no. He might know, and he's got some work rate as well. No, I mean, people might say, "Oh, he doesn't do much outside the box." Really, do you get what I mean? Like collecting the ball and doing fancy stuff like that. I don't care about stuff like that. I want my number 9 striker, centre forward, whatever you want to call him, to just score goals. Your Gary Hooper. Like Gary Hooper, that'll probably be like your more recent kind of player that was just a pure out and out goal scorer.
Yeah, Mark, he's there. Like he knows when the ball is coming. Like, do you know what I mean? He knows where to be. Like, and I think that's what we saw from Gio yesterday, Mark.
A lot of the goals Gio scores, Kyogo wouldn't score, Paul. See the last minute winner last week. There's no way that Kyogo would have been in that position to get that goal against St Johnstone. No, I mean, he's a mere kind of. It's like in and about the penalty area idea, isn't it? Kyogo's not your big bustling centre forward that's getting in the dirty end of things. That's what Gio does, and it's got to be him that starts for me as long as he's fit. It really has. Also,
Mark, we seem to be playing to more Gio's qualities, like because when Kyogo's playing, we seem to be playing the same way as if Gio was on the pitch. Remember, I was constantly saying that, like, and we seem to be putting crosses into the box, and we have a 5-foot striker in there. Do you know what I mean?
There's no point in putting in crosses if you've got a 5'5" striker, definitely.
Do you know what I mean? And we'd Radisson there yesterday, who we all know, Marky. Like I think he provided nearly 11 assists to Gio last season. Like, you know what I mean? I think, Mark, if you're playing Gio, you have to play Radisson because he get down the wing. You know, I really see Jota get to the byline. Not Jota, sorry, Ivanovic. Get to the byline as fast as Radisson would. And I'm not actually compare the two, like, but I think going forward, Radisson could be a better bet if we're playing Gio. Do you know what I mean?
I think as well, Ralston's a better crosser of the ball. Whereas again, Juranovic was more inclined to cut inside. And he's rather cut inside that way, whereas Ralston would rather get up to the byline and cross the ball into the box. But for Ralston's crossing, I agree with you on that, Paul. I mean, it's good options to have.
It is, Mark, yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, this is guys that get paid multi-million pounds off of Celtic every year, and we're sitting saying, I would just bench him and play him. But it's good options to have when you can say, well, they're two good players there. Juranovic and Ralston, even though they play in the same position, they're different. They're different types of players. And that is something, I suppose we're getting back to Ange with all these super tweaks that you probably need to kind of look into. But as far as I'm concerned, either or. But Ralston's crossing is definitely more potent, more potent. Aye, that's a good word. More potent than Juranovic's is.
Jeez, but while you do, you looked at the Oxford Dictionary before you joined the podcast, yeah?
I'm trying to upgrade my vocabulary, Paul.
Yeah, trying to put me to
Going
shame.
to start taking elocution lessons and that. I'll be on talking like that very shortly.
It's bad enough. It's bad enough me trying to get used to your Scottish words. Do you mind saying intellectual words? Interesting thing here from, I think it was Jabba that said it, is Vickers better than Van Dijk when Van Dijk was there?
I'd say so.
I think so, Mark. I think
I'd say so.
He's a more mature player than what Vickers is. You know what I mean? Like I said there last week, like, even though he wasn't playing first team with Spurs, he was there with the best coaches. Do you know what I mean? The best defensive coach.
I mean, but Paul, see when you do actually watch him playing, it's and even but there's even another comparison to Van Dijk, because Van Dijk was a great player for us, but he wasn't any. I agree with you, Paul. I think Carter Vickers was better for us than Van Dijk was. But why didn't any of these other clubs? Why? I mean, how didn't he? He was
his height.
But
his height.
Is that what the holdback is?
That was the main. That was his main issue, Mark. Why he never got into the Spurs team was his height, and that's what
any potential suitors or that
kind
of thing
that held him back. But then, Mark, you look at United there, and they have a 5'6" Martinez from Argentina as their centre back. Do you get me? You know what I mean? The days of your bulky defender, Mark, is gone. The way football clubs want to play now. Do you get me? One of the best defenders, Mark, was it Calavera for Italy? Cavano.
Aye.
You know, and he was only about 5'5", Mark, or something like that. He was tiny.
Nesta as well.
Yeah. You know, so that type of.
But it's like, see for me, Paul. It's a bit old-fashioned, maybe in the modern game, Paul. But one of your centre halves should be like a big burly.
Exactly.
Man mountain, and one of them should be like a ball-playing centre half, be able to do the passing side of the game. That's the kind of ideal partnership. But when I looked at even Van Dijk, I mean, you can't say Van Dijk's height went against him.
No, he was a good ball player.
But how come that? I mean, I'm delighted that basic players end up at Celtic, both Carter Vickers and Van Dijk. But you wonder how they end up at Celtic. Do you get what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or it's like even down to Matt O'Reilly. I mean, Liverpool were chasing him in all these computer scouting programs. Odd Matt O'Reilly at the top of the table. Do you get what I mean? It's like on the stats across Europe, he was coming up top on stats and stuff like that, and a lot of big teams were keeping an eye on. But nobody actually took the plunge on him for what £1.5 million.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's craziness how these players. For me, sometimes I think to myself, you wonder what these big multi-million pound contracts that are doing scouting and doing all this work actually are doing. Is it because he was only £1.5 million playing in the Championship? They thought, we can't bring him to Liverpool.
There seems to be, Mark, between.
Is Nesta 6'4"? That blew me out the water then. Good you, Mikey.
There seems to be.
Who am I thinking of then? The wee shaving.
Yeah, that's the fella I was on about. Yeah, the baldy fella. Yeah.
Aye,
the shaving fella. There seems to be, Mark, an ignorance between from the top teams in England that they won't go down and look in the lower leagues for players. I think the one manager who did it and it kind of paid off and really was David Moyes with West Ham when he went down.
But that all comes back for his time at Everton, Paul.
Yeah.
Everton School of Science, that's what it was called. That was like the forerunner of sports science across the game, Paul. They were using like a computer game Football Manager for stats in that long before anybody else started doing it. They were one of the first teams to get involved and help them even build up the databases and stuff like that. And that was Everton, and Davy Moyes he implemented a lot of that at the club. And it was all this kind of data-driven stuff in that. And he'll be taking all that knowledge with him back to any team he goes to. It gives him a chance to use it. And it seems to be working well for West Ham. I'm delighted for Davy Moyes, by the way. Big up Davy Moyes.
He did, Mark. I think it took him a while to kind of recover from that Manchester United job. But I think
Aye,
anyone who went into that job straight after Ferguson was destined to fail anyway, because
aye.
there was such a high expectations in that club anyway.
And
You know?
you need some size of personality to replace Ferguson in that club, because look where it's ended up. Do you get what I mean? It's in the pits now, isn't it? Had some transfer. What's his name, Paul? We said earlier on. Was it you? The guy for Spurs that's meant to be coming in?
Yeah, Steve Hitchinson.
Hitchinson, was it?
Yeah, Hitchinson. Yeah, he was behind bringing Suarez to Liverpool. He was recently with Spurs, but Conte wanted to stay, but they brought in, supposedly why he left Spurs, Mark, they brought in this new sporting director, and basically they just didn't get on. He didn't see his vision, so he left, and he's come. Suppose he's mutual friends between himself and Ange, and that's how
I see. That's how the connection get made.
Connection came in. Like, but what role he's coming in as an advisory role to Ange.
He's not coming into somebody put up on the forum he was coming in as a director of football, but that's not what I saw either, Paul.
No, it's an advisor. An advisory role to Ange is what he's coming in on, right? Because I don't think, Mark, I can't see him going in to the scouting department after just appointing Laurel there. Do you get me? You know? So, like, is he going to maybe look at the club and something that we thought maybe Gordon Strachan was going to do? Is he actually going to look at the club and help Ange that way, do you think? But he's a scout, like, he's not.
That's right. It seems that he's a scout and he's kind of transfer guru, somebody said there.
Yeah, like,
well, even if it's only an advisory role, Paul, maybe it's just a case of like Ange, Mark Lowe, and this get new guys got to deal up. It'll just be part of the process. Do you get what I mean? Another kind of opinion on things. See, I'm always wary of that kind of stuff about an advisory role. Mind Kenny Dalglish was going to Ibrox in this super scout advisory job when they were going to saying Robbie Fowler and all that. Mind, and it never the floating pitches, and it never materialises. Even the thing with Gordon Stratton coming in to look at the youth setup, he came in and done it, and nobody heard anything else about it.
Never did, Mark. It was all kind of going by what Darlow was saying. It was all Ange doing all that. Do you know what I mean? Changing all that structure.
There's no doubt he came in and done it, and he put in reports to Celtic and that, but it didn't really seem to affect much that we're seeing, does it?
Or maybe just thinking of something back, Mark, when Darren O'Dea said that Ange is kind of playing this kind of director of football role. Is he coming in maybe helping Ange with that and taking the pressure off Ange and let Ange concentrate on the team, and he kind of advise him on stuff that's going on there?
But that shouldn't have been an advisor then, Paul. That should be a job.
An employee of the club, like, yeah, it should be a job. You know, or maybe Mark at the moment is just an advisory role, and him himself is seeing how's it going. Ange will probably see how's it going, and he might go on then to take up a role, you know. I'd be very surprised, Mark, if it's director of football, because he's never been in that role. Like, he's been scouting all his life, and that's his trade. Like, this is the fellow who found Luka Modric.
But guys, there are guys in the director of football roles, Paul, that you would never in a million years think of. I mean, we kept saying it last year. We like say at Ajax when it was Van der Sar and Overmars. I mean, you wouldn't have they kind of players doing for they kind of jobs. So I mean, it is only a job title. It depends what you're actually getting them today. I mean, do you get what I mean? We spoke about all these. We'll just call him a technical director. We'll call him a sporting director. We'll call him a director of sporting. It's just stupid job titles. But until you actually know what their job description is and what they're doing, it's just really words. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because they haven't really come out and said what his role is at the moment. Like, it seems to be just as an advisory role to Ange at the moment, Mark. That could be any amount of things. That could be 3 or 4 things just under one title. Do you get me?
Aye.
You know?
Aye. I mean, Ange could bring in somebody and they could just like call him a technical director. But what he's basically doing is just, as you said, Paul, taking a bit of the heat off of Ange. Do you know what I mean? But things the thing, just even, I know Ange likes to micromanage stuff, but there will be stupid wee petty things that he shouldn't really be bothering about. So maybe he's taking somebody, he needs somebody like that, rather than like an actual director of football. But I'm always a bit wary of this coming on as advisors and stuff like that. It's just, if they're good at their job, find them a job and get them in doing it for his full time.
Mm-hmm. But it's interesting to see, though, Mark, that Celtic are able to attract a player to our coach, you know, but I don't know, but backroom staff, Mark. I mean, because if you look at his profile, like he has wealth of talent. Like he's worked with the best managers. He worked with Mourinho, Pochettino. He was the main man behind Pochettino, bringing these players in for Pochettino when Spurs got to the Champions League final. Like, so I don't think he's no fool either, Mark. I think he's well able to spot a player, you know.
Oh, he seems to have a good CV, Paul.
Mm-hmm. You know, and it's good. The good thing as well, Mark, is David Levy isn't a chairman who likes to spend. Daniel Levy, isn't a chairman who likes to spend money either. You know what I mean? So he's well able to work within the budget, like, you know what I mean?
Like, one of the toughest negotiators in the game, Paul. And believe it or not, Peter Lowell, really, he's kind of looked as the same kind of guy as Daniel Levy. Clubs knew that when they were coming into Celtic, they weren't getting a bargain. Do you get what I mean? They were getting every single penny they could get out of them. He would be getting, Peter Lowell would be getting out of them, and Levy's the same.
Mm-hmm. Peter Lowell.
Just while we're talking about Spurs, did you see this thing? I saw it on Twitter. I mean, I don't know if it went up in the Discord or no. That Paul Merson talking about Harry Kane going to Bayern Munich. And that it just, Paul, see, honestly, you'd have thought the guy had asked him any chances of Harry Kane signing for Hamilton Accies, Paul.
Yeah, exactly.
See the way he was talking about Bayern Munich, as if they're just, what do you want to go to Bayern Munich for? They couldn't win the Champions League with Lewandowski in the team, so they're not got to do it with him.
Yeah, I couldn't see
I was like,
for Munich Mark afford Harry Kane.
They could. Bayern Munich's one of the top 5 clubs in the world, pushing top 3 probably. We don't seem to realise how big Bayern Munich is. It seems like I don't mean just in Germany. In Europe, Bayern Munich's one of the biggest football clubs in the world, without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
They really are. If they wanted Harry Kane, they would have the money for Harry Kane.
Some stadium too, Mark. They have.
I mean, everybody creams their pants out Barcelona and stuff like that. You never hear of Bayern Munich having money troubles and stuff like that, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean they're a well-run club, and as I said, I'll try and dig up this and get it on the Discord or whatever.
The thing about Bayern Munich,
it just shows you pure ignorance that English people look at just anywhere outside England.
Yeah. Exactly, Mark.
You know basically it. I was sitting cringing for him when I seen it. I really was. I was like, how can you work for Sky and sit there and talk like that?
Sure, that's Paul Morrison, Mark. I mean, he probably has a bet down in that, and that's why he's probably bringing it up.
He's bet Harry Kane to stay at Spurs.
Yeah.
And then see when the camera panned out, see what the killer for it was, it killed it for me. The camera panned out for Merson, Chris Boyd was sitting next to him. And I thought, oh God, thank fuck I wasn't watching that live. Do you know what I mean?
Look how bad Sky Sports have to get in, like when you have Chris Boyd and fucking Paul Morrison there. Do you know what I mean? You know?
I know, Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, I mean, he's the most... man doesn't even know basic tactics, Chris Boyd. He was nearly choking there yesterday when Celtic were up 4-1. You know, nearly crying he was. You know, fucking hell. What was I going to say there? Sorry, Harry Kane, Mark. I don't think, no. I think he passed up his chance, Mark. That he could, when Man City were going to come in for him that time. Now they have Haaland. I think he's just going to stay with Spurs.
I think so as well. I mean, Man United were in for him a few years back when he was younger and offered them astronomical money, and he turned that down. Man City, it didn't happen.
I really don't see the hype about him, Mark. I really don't.
No.
I think he's. I know he can score, Mark, but
that's it, Paul. That's it. It's the difference. It's like we speak about the difference between like a player that will sign for Celtic and a player that even Leipzig. Do you know what I mean? A player that will sign for Leipzig.
Mm-hmm.
You see the difference, the money they can spend, and the difference is we need 8 chances in a Champions League game to
Exactly.
score a goal. These players need 1 or 2 chances and they'll get at least 1 goal out of it.
Yeah, but
I think he's an out and out striker.
I just think I
I
just
don't
get the
like Harry
impression
Kane.
of no. I'm just saying
I
that's
don't
and
like him I don't like him, but as a football player, I can't take much away from
I
him,
just
Paul. I
think
really
Mark
can't.
for me looking at him and I even if I watched him for England or Spurs, I think he's more stuck up in his own personal achievements rather than the club's achievements. You know what I mean? I think he's
Aye.
obsessed with trying to break the Premier League record. He's obsessed trying to break Wayne Rooney's record for England. I think he's just, and sometimes he's another player, Mark, that if there's a pass on, he won't do it. Do you know what I mean? He goes for the shot himself, like, you know what I mean? That's,
Aye. He's a
you
bit
know,
self-centered and greedy.
yeah, that's what I
Aye.
get off him. Like he wants to be the main man. Do you know what I mean? You know, but I never,
Well, suppose, Paul, when you're it's like, Scott Brown at Celtic. He was always
mhm.
got to be the main man. Messi at Barcelona. I'm not comparing. I don't mean that. I'm not comparing it with football styles. I'm just talking about like players that are like they're placing the squad. Do you get what I mean? They're senior players, and Harry Kane is one of the most senior players going about in England.
Yeah,
You know
but
what I
if you
mean?
look at Spurs history, Mark, right, and you look at the great players they've had, like the likes of Gary Lineker, did Gaza there, did big players. Who's going to be more of a legend in years to come, Harry Kane or Gary Lineker? Who people are going to talk about?
Eh, probably Harry Kane, Paul.
Is this more recent?
Aye. Paul, give us 2 seconds. Just chat away, then, right, bud? About answer a question there, Terence. See what Terence is saying there.
Terence is on about golf. Christ.
No, there.
All
Back to
right.
Van Dijk, right? It wasn't right. It's just 2 seconds. Somebody
None
just
of the
nipped
big
in,
sides
Paul,
down
right?
south wanted Van Dijk while at Celtic after he played for. Well, that's always going to be. Is the exact same thing going to happen with Ayer? He went to Brentford. Is he going to get that big deal? Here's a question for the live chat. Like we're constantly talking about Scott Brown being a Celtic legend. Can we put James Forrest maybe into that role now? Is he a Celtic legend? 20 trophies, 10 league titles, 5 league cups, 5 Scottish cups. Is he now classified as a Celtic legend? Uh, he's just a bit of a Bawz doing a podcast alone. I don't know how people do a podcast in alone. Christ.
Right, sorry, bud, that's me back here, mate.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I don't know how people do a
My wee
podcast on
nephew
their
nipped
own.
in there.
You know?
No, no chance.
Jesus.
I
I'm
was
just
one to
saying there,
think,
Mark. Is James Forrest now classified as a Celtic legend within the club because of his 100 goals and his trophy haul that he got?
you've got to say that, haven't you?
Yeah.
You have, especially if he stays for his full career, which I think he probably will, unless maybe in a few years' time he kind of just drops down a division now, kind of
But
see out
Mark,
his
he's
career.
another
But
player, Mark, that
when you're
when
putting
he
in
was in his
that time
prime,
and
like
that
Mark,
trophy
yeah,
hole and that,
you know what I
I
mean?
can't,
He had his
you've got to
chances to
give him
move
that.
as well, Mark, and he didn't
Aye.
move. You know what I mean?
I know
You know,
it's
because
a few years back when he was younger, the Spurs at the time, Spurs were
Spurs were in him,
really
yeah,
interested in him, aye. But
you know.
I mean, as I said, I'm not big James Forrest's biggest fan, but I'm not going to run him down. Aye, he deserves to be looked at as a Celtic legend. No, I mean, there's guys that have won. I mean, look at the treatment guys like DeCanio and that guy that was here for a year.
Yeah, exactly,
Do you
Mark.
get what I mean? DeCanio and Big Pierre and that. And James Forrest's been here for, what, he was 7-year-old or something like that.
Hmm.
If
I kind
and
of,
McGregor, right? If McGregor's going to be seen as a Celtic legend, surely James Forrest is.
hmm
What's the difference, really? McGregor's played more games,
more
but he's,
games, yeah, that's it,
aye.
yeah.
But apart from that and the captaincy thing, there's really no difference. They're two guys that have gone looking at they've given the best years of their life to Celtic when they could
Hmm.
have moved on and made themselves. Well, they're obviously rich men, but they could have made themselves very, very rich young men. But it's a fair play to the two of them. But aye, Forrest for me, he should be seen as a legend.
Definitely, Mark. Yeah, like you were naming players there, like the Canny or Cadesi and Hydunk, like players who Celtic fans kind of adored and always remember for what they did at Celtic in the season. But here's a player, Mark, who's been at his basically, Mark, started from the youth system. It's rarely any football club, Mark, you see that. You know?
There's Mikey coming on, Paul.
Turnbull on his way.
Turnbull on his way being a legend. Hi, Mikey,
Turnbull
bud.
be down the toilet.
All right, how you getting on?
All right,
Mikey.
Good man.
Impressed with yesterday, Mikey?
Yeah, it was it was better. Like I wouldn't get over. And again, it was 6-1 in that, but it was a decent performance, and I think it was helped by Hibs being absolutely shocking as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, but
we weren't expecting that Hibs, but wouldn't we know, Mikey?
No, like I say, Hibs have been on a decent run. Like it says, you can only look at the league table at the end of the day, and they're third, so they can't be too bad there.
Mm-hmm.
So
was it them that were shocking, but did we just blow them away with our superior football, Mikey?
Well, the Hibs man just said, Mark, that
good with it.
They were just blown away by Celtic. You know what I mean?
Hibs were all over the shop right from the start of the game. I think Martin Boyle looks like a decent player for them, but other than that, I don't think they've really got much going there. So.
No. But I think, again, the early goal settled us down, didn't it? That seems to be the kind of thing we say. And that, see, for me, that gets back even to under Brendan Rodgers and things like that. See, if we didn't get an early goal, that's when we were toiling.
It opens them up, Denmark, don't it? It opens the team up and it creates that space. And if we don't get that early goal...
It just gives even us a bit more confidence.
Yeah, it kind of gets into the... Doesn't maybe, Mark, get into the players' heads then. And that's why we seem to be... The last couple of games, then we seem to be all over the place. But our passing, there was kind of no structure to the team, really. So there wasn't, you know. I think what we can do anyway is... And Rod is putting it on the thing there. Big Bitoris was never off his ass. How can... And Mickey, you put it up yesterday.
We spoke about... Mine Celtic fans were clamouring for us to sign him.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I put up a big thing about Porty.
I can see why Jim Goodwin called him a cheat.
Let him talk, Paul. We keep talking to him.
No, it's fine. No, all I was saying is I put up a big thing about Porteous yesterday. Like, and actually, I was going back to the boy McKenna that was at Aberdeen when there were Celtic supporters and that wanting him signed, and I always thought he was a donkey. And like I say, I always try and compare other players at other Scottish clubs when they play against Celtic or against Rangers. And every time he seems to play against Rangers, he gets sent off. And every time I've seen him play against Celtic, he's always had a shocker. So he's never ever filled me with much confidence. So
I mean, for a big player, he goes down easily, don't he?
Yeah, but what I didn't like as well is he raked in the first half. He raked his studs down the back of Giacomakis, and Giacomakis was lying on the ground injured, and he was over him screaming at him whilst he's on the ground. I can't stand like players that do that. I just taking liberties when the boy's on the ground injured.
But he's meant to be this big, burly, tough man defender. And as you say, Paul, he's been doing the slightest touch yesterday. I think it was Tom Boyd that said, "Can you not get sent off for persistent falling down?" It says it's not even diving; it's just falling down.
Yeah, he is, Mark. I don't know. It's true what Mickey is saying there. Like Scott McKenna, he got relegated with Norwich, and now he's at Forest, who are conceding goals like there's no tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? Like, what Mickey is saying there, like, judge them when they're playing against Celtic, not when they're playing against other teams in Scotland. And any time I've seen him, I'm looking at him going, I just think he's a dirty player. You know, and I could see what Jim Goodwin was actually saying about him when he got this 8-game ban. I mean, that's ridiculous, Mark, getting an 8-game ban for calling out a player. Do you know what I mean? You see it nowhere else. You know,
I've never, I can't remember, it's very rare. And it just goes to show it must be something to do with the coaching in Scotland. We've talked about that in the past. I can't remember, is there any player in Scotland right now that's came through a club that you would be interested in signing? In the whole of Scottish football.
No.
That's maybe for the live chat as well, to have a thing as well. There's actually genuinely anybody within Scotland that's came through the ranks at their club that might be a decent acquisition for Celtic. And when would you say that going back all the years? There's normally always one or two. And I actually genuinely can't think of any.
No, I can't think of anybody either, Mikey, to be honest.
And that's poor.
Not at the moment, no. Not at the moment.
Since Lewis Ferguson left these shores.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Even Lewis Ferguson at that, going to be getting the Celtic team now. Even with Callum McGregor and that being out, probably no, but Abelgard and that kind of
Aye.
Lewis Ferguson isn't, is he?
Aye, that's a fair point. Aye, but no, I suppose it's kind of shows you as well. But as you said, how like poor the actual coaching and that is.
Yeah, well, like I say, even when I watched the game today, Motherwell and that, you're looking at that Motherwell team, and they've not got any players that you'd think they're actually look all right. You know what I mean? Just very poor. And I think Motherwell's goalkeeper, I think it's the guy, Boy Kelly, that's their captain. He must be one of the shortest goalkeepers I've ever seen. He must be about 5'9" if he's lucky, like, yeah.
Christ, I'm smaller than him, and I was a goalkeeper.
That's the past tense, too.
Yeah, like I'm looking. You're talking about Pretorius there today, and I was talking to Mark there before he came on. I was watching the Man City and Liverpool game, and they were kicking the shit out of each other, like, you know what I mean. And there you see a player, then Michael, going down with a simple tap. Like, if Celtic were playing in that game today and it was up in Scotland, we would have had 6 players sent off. And that's no word of a lie.
That's what you just want. You just wanted the referee just to let the game go. Well, that's the problem with the referee. And
they weren't really fouls. Like, they were just tough tackles. Do you know what I mean? And the referee was letting play on.
Well, we're back away in Scotland and everywhere else in Europe and countries that football's going to end up being a non-contact sport. It's like even going back to like even goalkeepers and that. And the goalkeepers are like a protected species.
Oh, you can't touch them.
You can't even be near them. And it's a free kick. No, I mean, it's just shocking, eh?
You know, you can. It's really gone. It's gone. It's like when you were talking about Abada there, going off there with that knock there in the Champions League. You know what I mean? Before there, you'd see a player play on with a knock like that, Mark. Do you get me? You know.
Well, you'd think players would be wanting to run through a brick wall, Paul, to play in the Champions League.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's top. It's a top level, isn't it? If that was me, it's even before the game. If I've got a bit of a knock of that, I'm like that. Oh, strap me up, do what you need to do, but I'm getting out there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's.
Sorry, just going. I was just going into forgetting. It was just about Bernabei, and in the last minute we talked about this yesterday, Mark, where he knocked it past the right back and ran onto it in the box, and he fell over the Hibs defender, and the referee for the free kick. Can somebody explain to me what that free kick was for?
No,
I think he was. Well, I'm looking at is he tried to take out Bernabei, and he
fell over.
Aye. If anything, I'd have thought it was either it was in the box, wouldn't it? I'd have said it would have been a penalty.
Yeah, because Bernabei was kind of in front of him, Mark, when he went on the floor. Do you get me?
It was the same with the one, the 2 house players were running about Kyogo. The ball get played and Kyogo, all he done was give you a guy a wee shove. But it was as if the FCT's got to get that ball and blue and gave a foul for it. There's no another game in football this weekend that a player's been gave a foul for that wee push like Kyogo done. Or as you said, Mikey, that challenge on Bernabei.
He was shocking yesterday, Mark McLean, though, wasn't he? Really was.
But again, he's one of the referees. It's all about him. And he's like, I'm the centre of attention. I'm the main man. Eh? Like,
that's what it looked like. Yeah,
see this VAR on Saturday giving me the fear. Eh?
Oh, I know. Just their Buzz just put up on the forum there. It's now been reported that the Hitchin appointment is untrue.
What's that, Mark? Sorry?
Buzz has just put up on the forum there. It's now being reported that the Hitchin appointment is untrue. The Spurs guy we were talking about there. Buzz has just put that on the forum, aye. Oh, well, it got 10 minutes to talking about him.
Exactly, Mark. Exactly, when it's just the two of us all night. Passes a bit of time. Jesus Christ, there's podcast there. We'll probably do a half an hour and that today by just to put it up in the thing, like, you know what I mean? You know, let's talk about Motherwell. Mickey, you said you watched them today, and if Celtic arrive to this game of Far Park on Wednesday, can you see Celtic win comfortably there?
Should be 5 or 6 again. And that's not me trying to be a dick or like too confident of that. I'm just genuinely saying how it is and how poor Motherwell are. Motherwell are a lot better team than. Sorry, Hibs are a lot better team than Motherwell. Like it shouldn't be a contest in the terms of where the squads are. It should be easy. Celtic just need to kick on. Hopefully, this is the game that gets the squad and gives them a kick up the arse and just gets them going again. Because they've been needing that. Because, like I said, the last 4, 5, 6 games have been very poor. and they've deserved the criticism they've got. So hopefully after this, they just kick on. Because like I said,
Yeah,
it's a
because
cup,
that's what I was saying. It's more the attitude of the players yesterday, more than I know the win is great, like 6-1, like, but it was performance. Do you know what I mean that was what seems to be kind of lacking the last couple of games? And as you said there, Mickey, like if we kick on, use yesterday as a starting point and get us back on track, Mark, you know.
Aye, that's it. Turn the corner. I mean, but as Mikey was saying there as well, the criticism of the last few weeks has been well warranted.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, fair. You can't. I mean, fair dues. Losing to Real Madrid. There's no great shock in that. We were really impressed. We were really impressed with the actual performance of the team, but it seems just for that game, Celtic's just not been the same for me.
But Mark,
There'd be something in that.
Could the Champions League performances maybe played on the players' minds then, like that they were missing these chances in the Champions League, and did that actually creep in then to our SPL form then as well? Do you get me? You know?
Like this kind of European hangover and that.
Yeah, I know you're not a big believer in it, like, but did it clear the players' minds?
I genuinely believe it, and the perfect team that you need to look at is Dundee United. They were at the start of the season, all the top end signings and everything, and that bit AZ Alkmaar at him, going strong, perfect. Go over there, pumps. What was it? Was it 7 or 8?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really matter anyway. And ever since that, what did they lost 10 in a row or something?
Aye.
And they're starting to pick up results again. So a couple of bad results in Europe, and that could be you, like.
Mm-hmm.
I'm merely the kind of get them in and give them a rollicking, tell them to go out there on Saturday and make up for it kind of idea.
I think, like he says, every player's different in this day and age, and I just think it maybe was after that Real Madrid game because they played so well and still got pumped 3-0. People need to realise that as well, because I keep hearing about the performance against Real Madrid, and I think people forget that it was 3-0.
Aye,
and that's as poor as Leipzig and Shakhtar. It was all a bad result. I didn't care if they're the European champions.
It could have been 3-2 or 3-3. Yeah. That's what you should be looking at, Mickey. Like, those chances were ridiculous. And it was through all the 4 games really in the Champions League. Our misses were cost us those games. You know what I mean?
It was the Shakhtar game that really scunnered me.
That was
I really, because I wasn't impressed with them at all. I actually thought they would have been better than they were. I mean, a lot of people they should be quite easy to beat because of that. They've lost all their players because of the conflict stuff and all that. But I still thought they'd have been a better team than they were, and I thought it was the Shakhtar game was kind of the low point for me.
Mm-hmm. It's going back to kind of Bobo Glibbit, Mark, is this?
I made an arse of myself with that, didn't I? I was just so convinced with it. I just didn't see how we were going to lose to them. I mean, as I said, Paul, I knew we were going to be up against when we get these teams. I've said that 100 times. They're well organised, well drilled. They all know what they're doing in that. But that was a shocking result as well for me, that Bodo Glimt one.
Mm-hmm.
Right, good night, Terence, bud. Thanks for coming in, mate. Speak to you later on. Bodo Glimt, that was a low point. We'll just move on for that. But we just don't seem to be getting anywhere on this European front.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Mikey, Mikey, you were there in Germany. You were seriously pissed off that night, weren't you?
Yeah, well, it's because it's a shocking performance. And I understand people not saying, and obviously me and Brian had a bit of a back and forth, which is, well, that's what football's about. It's about getting different points of view in that. But I understand, like, when people say, like, support the club through good and bad, and we're going through a bit of a bad patch. That like few games after the bit Rangers 4-0 against Real Madrid, Shakhtar, St Mirren, Motherwell, Leipzig away, St Johnstone, Leipzig at home. That 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, nearly 7 games. Shocking performances, like That's beyond like a bit of a bad patch, like
No, you can.
know what I mean?
You can. Every team plays a bad game now and again. The best teams in the world, there's always a wee shock results in their season here and there and that. But it's just saying, mate, it was consistent. It was becoming consistent. I've said it to you on private. I've said it to Paul. I've said it on here. Winning becomes a habit, but so does kind of losing.
Yeah,
and
when you're stuck in a rut, Mark, it's hard to get out of it.
Disappoint. It's hard to do that. But I mean, I'm the first year. I'll bam up Celtic to anybody how great they are, and when they play well, I'm the first man to be delighted. But if they're needed, if I've got someone to criticise the team or even Andrew, I'll be saying it. Do you get what I mean? That's what it's all about to me. We're just all Celtic fans having a bit of opinion. Even Hines can get a bit heated between all his kind of thing, but it's just all our opinions, sir. Just don't take it to heart, lads. You get what I mean, Blanty? The Rangers live chat today, man, they were all wanting to meet up to stab each other and that. Chat Rangers live chat. Honestly, Ed Wan said to Ed Fair, if you get shot at that and don't be putting up on our live chat for that Rangers site. You know what I'm talking about, slashing each other and stabbing each other and that.
Going away from that.
And they won.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? They won.
Going away for that just for a second, though. I can see if Celtic didn't score that last second winner against St Johnstone. I bet you right now that they didn't have that performance against Hibs. Because that's they were in a rut like See, they dropped points against St Johnstone. Yeah, see against Hibs, I bet you that performance is there. That St Johnstone last minute winner kicked them on.
Actually, Christian,
I agree with that.
Where does Xander Clark go to in the end?
Hearts,
is it?
Yeah, he's back up goalkeeper.
So he's there as understudy to Craig Gordon, is it?
Yeah,
he could have went to any SPL club there and be number one keeper there instead of going to Hearts to be number two. But he's up on out as well, don't he?
Xander Clark's too busy with his brother in the Orange Lodges.
Yeah, you were saying that to me, Mickey.
Right, aye, that's him, aye.
Oh. He's just a fucking beardy dick, that cunt, so.
Mark, we've been talking about cup games recently, like saying, and should kind of bring in fringe players or try your young player and stuff like that. But considering the kind of loss of form that you were just talking about there, and we got a good result on yesterday, should Ange maybe keep the first team in there to keep this confidence going?
But that's what I'm saying, Paul, as well.
Maybe just bring in Seagrass, Mark, or something. Do you know what I mean?
Well, maybe that. I maybe give Seagrass that on it, but I mean, see, the team yesterday for me.
That wasn't your first 11 either, really.
No, but I would still. I'd just probably even stick with that, Paul. Just maybe put Seagrass in goal, but I would probably just even stick with that, the same 11 that started yesterday.
I'm 100% not changing anything. What the World Cup in like 3 weeks or something? 4 weeks without football. So if they can cram a few games into that before the World Cup, then they'll all be playing. I mean, you can rest during the World Cup break. This is a totally unique season that nobody will ever see again.
Exactly, Mickey. Yeah.
So,
that's what surprised me, Michael. Sorry, was when Ange made all these changes for the St. Mirror game just before an international break, when we didn't really have many players on that international break. Do you get me?
He'll know he made a year of that, though. Like he'll know deep down that was just not good enough. Like, I mean, nobody understood that other than him.
Yeah.
What we were, like I said, I think we were the only club in Europe that rested players for their international teams.
Yeah.
See, if I was a Celtic manager, the week before the international break, I would be hoping. I'd be hoping that, all right, hope he picks up a wee knock. Just nothing serious, just a wee knock that keeps him getting away from international duty. Do you get what I mean? I hate international football. I've been over that before, but it's just I hate. Part of it is I hate Celtic players getting away and ending up coming back injured and coming back. Do you get what I mean?
So Roger had it for years, Mark, didn't he, with Australia?
The Japanese guys, if any of them get into the squad, they'll be flying about crazy and stuff like that. But maybe it's just because I'm not a fan of international football, Paul. I don't really like Celtic players to be involved.
No, though, before international football, it was spaced out. within a week and a half. Now it's done
They
3
never
games within 6 days. Like, do you know what I mean? That's ridiculous. Like,
They never used to have, when I was younger than that, they never used to have these kind of, even like so regular.
yeah, you could play a game on Friday, Thursday, and then play another game then on Tuesday night or Wednesday night. You get me? 3 games in the space of a week.
And what's the point of an international friendly?
Ridiculous, Mark.
I mean, a friendly game's like something you play in pre-season or for a charity or so. Do you get what I mean? But for like for a break in the league football to cover international friendlies, they don't need to play any games. All they need to do is meet up and have a week's training camp.
Mm-hmm.
No play any games, just a week's training camp with Scotland or wherever their national team is, and that should be it. But in this World Cup as well, me and Mikey were talking about it on the phone the other day. It's not just the players that are at the World Cup. They get away for these training camps before the World Cup.
Yeah, so see, there's a big problem now, Mark. Argentina have requested their players to leave their clubs a week and a half before the World Cup starts. In preparation. So if they get away with that, more clubs are going to be calling.
No, that's no. Well, they're
it's not right.
No, they're not getting away with anything. That's normal.
Mm-hmm.
But even getting back to when Roy Keane fell out with McCarthy in Japan, that was a week. How long ago? I mean, these teams that are going to the World Cup will land. They'll probably play somewhere else with all this high altitude training stuff like that. But they'll end up in Qatar maybe a week. What do you think, Mikey? A week before the tournament starts?
At least because of the time difference.
And things like that.
They'll want the players. This sounds stupid, but they'll want the players to be like acclimatized and used to the weather conditions, and they're not just going to show up and then 24 hours later they're playing a game. No, that's never going to happen. It's going to be the same process for this World Cup in the winter as if it was in July. Exactly the same. Nothing changes.
And that's what it is. And the international teams want their players with aim for 2 weeks before the tournament starts to do training, as we were saying, all this altitude stuff and acclimatising and that.
Which is fair enough.
Aye, definitely fair enough. So Argentina won't be the only ones, Paul. To get America, they'll probably do the same. They'll not want big Carter Vickers landing there in the last minute.
Mm-hmm.
And when push comes to shove, it's FIFA you're taking on. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly, and FIFA don't want to upset the World Cup, Denmark, so they don't.
No, but FIFA, it's still like if Argentina wanted Bernabeu a wee bit earlier than what the fans would want it to be, or even the Celtic would want it to be. Celtic's not got a leg to stand on. It's not as if they can turn around and say no. Right. Cheers, Brian. Cheers for coming in, mate. Nice to see you again. Is that role
still there, Denmark? Is that if your player doesn't turn up, they can actually request your game to be suspended? That's still there as well, isn't it?
No, they can. Is it not that the player can't play?
Yeah, the player can't play your game or something. Yeah.
I think that is still a rule. It's been a rule for years, isn't it, Mikey? If you miss an international game, you can't play in your next league, your next club game or something.
There's some rule like that, yeah, because people were just not allowing the players to go over there or something. So
Rangers were one of the bad ones for that. See, when Rangers were going through their dominant period, Rangers were pretty bad for doing that with Scotland and that, keeping their players back in. The next time they were meant to be injured, but the next time they were playing on a Saturday and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is anybody actually looking forward to the World Cup? Anybody in the live chat?
No.
I normally in the summer I love like the Euros and the World Cup because it fills that space, that gap before the new season starts. But this time, like even me and Jonas, we love watching everything. There's just nothing there for us. So
would you be more interested if Scotland were gone?
Yeah, that's different though, no? You know what I mean? Because like that gives you more of an interest there. You know what I mean? If Scotland in there, if Scotland,
when you go.
Sorry, Jane. If Scotland were there, then I would be there in the World Cup. So, and I know where it is in that, and it's some trek in that. But I've always said that when Scotland make the World Cup, and hopefully it is in my lifetime at one point. Like I 100% will be there.
Can you mind Scotland at World Cup?
Sorry.
Can you mind Scotland at World Cup?
In 1998, I was 11. 12. So I was just I still remember seeing the
Prick,
Scotland
yeah,
Brazil game, but
I was
wasn't
24.
I wasn't old enough to go to the games of that, obviously, back then. So no across in Europe anyway, put it that way. It wasn't so easy to get away in 1998. No, I mean, it's different now. You can get flights whenever you want and that. So.
Aye. 98, that was France, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Aye. I'd be
but
24 then.
Well, I'd love to see Scotland. And also,
I like to see Scotland do well. I do, it doesn't bother me, but I like to see them doing well. But I'm neither up nor down if they don't. But I would like Scotland to win the World Cup.
And it would obviously
do you get what I mean? It's where I stay kind of thing. So, but I don't think I'd be any more interested in it if they were actually in it.
And like obviously, my granddad being Irish, born in Dublin, obviously I've got a soft spot for Ireland, but obviously Scotland. But obviously, if Ireland are there, then they're obviously close, close to obviously support. But I always like to see obviously the two of them do well. So
I'm like you, Mikey, but we're a kind of Argentina man and stuff like that, just because the players you see when you're younger and stuff. Do you know what I mean?
No, like I say, in '86, obviously that was when I was born, and that was when Maradona did the hand of God goal, and obviously I got that big massive portrait on the back of my leg and I still remember, like I say, for like 7-8 year old in the USA when he was obviously got convicted again in that, but I still remember seeing him even when he was that young, and he was the first player I'm watching that I thought I love football just watching players like that.
Aye.
So
I mean, I was born in '74. Obviously, I can't mind of that, and I can't mind of the '78 one, but I can mind the '82 one. So I watched like see the Brazil team with Socrates and Zico and Junior and that, and I watched them kind of thing, and that was then it was because you never got to see the type of players. See with the amount of football that's on the telly these days, the majority of players at the World Cup, especially guys like you, Mikey, that watch all these games and that, you'll know the majority of the players. See, back then in the day and that's what these guys, we never heard of them kind of thing. You know what I mean? You saw these snippets in the paper or something like that now and again, but I mean, that 1982 World Cup, man, that kind of blew my mind about how football could get played different from what I was kind of used to watching, just like Celtic and Accies and stuff like that. It was a real eye opener, that the 1982 World Cup, for not just a lot of, like, even my pals and that. That was the players we were all running about the street kidding on about Zico and Socrates and stuff like that. And, the first time we saw people scoring for free kicks, and do you get what I mean? Fancy free kicks and stuff.
But that's what like says, like, because obviously the World Cup's going to be, for some, there's not going to be an interest. But for the guys in the forum, the Discord, and that people that listen into the podcast and that, like I said, I'm going to try and put together a fantasy football league for the guys in it to enter, and everybody will pick their obviously squads and that, and hopefully that might get people more an interest to see how their players are getting on in points and that, and we'll try and work out a prize for first, second, and third and that.
So, I will try and sort something out for that, no bother. That'd be quite interesting to do.
Yeah, like I say, it's just gives you a bit of keen interest in when fixtures and that are out and that.
And I mean, it's going to be a long few weeks into it, kind of thing, without Celtic playing.
Yeah, right. And if you look at a lot of the groups as well, there's I think one or two groups where there's a couple of decent games and that. But until I see the first 2 or 3 games over there and what it's actually like and stuff, like, you just don't know. It might end up being a cracker in World Cup. You never know.
It could be. It's just weird as well. But but I mean, what's the time difference with them, Mikey? They must be a good couple of years in front of us. But the game seemed to be timed. Maybe I looked up the time the other day. The game seemed to be timed like more a kind of European market.
100% be at night because of the heat.
No, but we're seeing a game at 1 o'clock. I think it's 1 o'clock in the day, 4 o'clock in the day, and 7 o'clock at night. So there's 3 games on a day for the first kind of group rounds kind of thing.
Well, Qatar are 2 hours ahead of the UK.
2 hours ahead.
Yeah.
So that'll be like 3 o'clock.
5 o'clock kickoff and that.
5 o'clock and 9 o'clock. Aye. So who you tipping for it? You fell asleep, Paul? Paul? Where is he?
He still looks like he's on the stream yard. Anyway, for the World Cup, like I said, I'll always stick with Argentina every World Cup because
I am the same.
That's always my team.
They're usually there or thereabouts as well, aren't they? There he's away.
Well, he's obviously been disconnected, so. But
Argentina's kind of my team for it as well. Just
always Argentina to win it, and then if they didn't win it, then it's anybody but England.
Aye, definitely. Who have they got in their group?
They've got.
You hear me now, yeah?
Aye.
I know I haven't there, boy.
I thought you'd fell asleep.
No, because I was wondering there why you couldn't hear me. I was saying there for the last 10 minutes. My best ever World Cup was Italian 90. You know?
Oh no, I've never heard.
No, we never heard that. No,
none of you were answering me. And I was like, I just let him talk away. So that's what I will. You know, the Italian 90 World Cup. There was Walter Zenga.
That was a good World Cup.
I always remember Walter Zenga with the silver Italian goalkeeper jersey and his gold chain. That's when the keepers could actually wear jewelry. He had a big, huge gold chain on him and everything. Walter Zenga. Jesus Christ.
That was a real good World Cup day, Paul.
I think it was the best one, Mark. I think that was one of the best ones. That's when all the players when they were prime, weren't they? Wood Hullis, Van Basten were all there and everything, weren't they? You know?
I think that was when Italy had that one of my dad's favourite players at the time, that Salvatore Scalacci.
Toto.
Toto Scalacci,
He was some player, man. He was. I don't know if I've said it on here, mate. I think I've told you about it, but just years ago when like satellite telly came in, there was like Sky and there was another one called BSB. It was a wee square aerial thing. And we get that one fitted because they'd mere football at the time. That was one of the reasons that we got that fitted. And the very first goal that I ever saw getting scored on the Italian football was that Lombardo was it? The baldy guy
for Sampdoria, yeah.
And
ended up at Crystal Palace years later, didn't he? That was the
first Lombardi, yeah.
Aye. That was the first Italian player.
Was that when it was on Channel 4, Mark? Was it?
Oh no,
Gazzetta Football Italia, yeah.
This was before that.
Was this?
No long before it. Maybe 2 or 3 years before it, but it was before that. It was the first time Italian football get showed in Britain. Was on this Sky B kind of thing. BSB it was called.
Gazzetta Football Italia started getting showed on the UK in 1995 on Channel 4. That's when Gazzetta Football Italia
every
started.
Sunday, I think Mickey wanted every Sunday.
Because my first ever recollection was on a Sunday when George Weah ran for his end half and took on the Hill team and scored when he was playing for AC Milan.
What that player he was, wasn't he?
George Weah again. They're all like, that's why like says like nothing will ever change my mind even to this day. Like Italian football for me, because it was so. It was good. What made me like it so much because it was accessible even without Sky in that because it was on Channel 4. They went out their way to make it available, and it was you were always guaranteed a game or 2 games on a Sunday. You had the program on a Friday, building up to the games on the Sunday.
Yeah.
It was just brilliant. That was before Sky and.
What was the name of that guy that presented it? What was it? The baldy guy that will end up baldy. Him that presented that.
James Richardson.
Glasses, didn't he?
No, James
Richardson. That's his aye. Is he still kicking about?
Yeah, he does the Gazette show on BT on a Sunday night.
Wow. What was that Plonk on Celtic TV yesterday?
I don't know. Somebody says he does the YouTube stuff and that, but
Jesus Christ, I thought they put on the floodlights in the stadium and it was his teeth.
Aye, wasn't he?
It was so bright. Jeez, it just didn't look like a football presenter, Mark.
No, it was a bit. I don't know what to say. Were tacky, like kind of low level, wasn't it? Because all he was doing was reading stuff off his tablet.
Yeah. Like didn't have a clue like what was going on around him. Like they really need to fix up Celtic TV, don't they?
Celtic TV is absolutely garbage. The only thing I rate is Tom Boyd because I was speaking to Mark yesterday about this, and I don't know if anybody else picks on this, but Tom Boyd hates everybody. Like, see if unless they're in green and white. He hates them, like, and I find it hilarious. Like, no matter what anybody does on the pitch, he hates them.
I love Tom Boyd. And he just says it as it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, see when he starts on about referees, he's like, look, But did I tell you this was going to be what kind of day it was? The referee again, he's having a shot. Do you know what I mean? I tell you before the game, this is what it would be like.
Says it as it is, like, don't he?
Aye, that's 5 times he's done that now. I love Tom Boyd.
Well, Mark, we saw again yesterday, right? You're talking about something there, and Tom Boyd said it as well yesterday during the game. When the Hibs blocked a Joe Hart goal kick inside the box, the exact same thing with Arfield for Rangers. It's a bookable offence, and no booking again yesterday for that same offence. I mean,
half the referees, Paul, don't know the rules. That's how it looks. They can't know the rules.
You know, because ridiculous, like.
I mean, I don't like to go on about like they're cheating and that. You know, I'm not like, I don't really buy into it. I wouldn't like to think so, but sometimes you've got to sit and think to yourself, come on, what's happening here? Some of the decisions that get made in Celtic games is absolutely crazy. I mean, we've spoke to Jonas and he goes on about. I mean, I don't see, that's the thing. I don't watch probably as much football as Mikey and that. So, but in the Celtic game, there are decisions that are absolutely crazy, and even on Twitter, you see their own highlights and stuff like that. But a lot of the Celtic ones don't get highlighted, and I think that's part of the problem. It's just them being paranoid and stuff like that. But I've just put it down to the actual level of refereeing, just absolutely garbage in Scotland. It's shocking.
I think one of the problems that, like, just football culture and just general football, I'll be interested to see what people think about this. Like, referees, obviously, because they are in focus and their job's so pivotal for the whole game, right?
Aye.
Why, after the game, do they, as maybe allowed to talk to them, why are they not allowed to be pulled out in front and basically say, oh, how can you explain why you did this? Or like, why have you gave this but not this? Not an attack. Just a general conversation. Like, they get paid good money as well, eh? Like, why can nobody speak to them or ask them why they did this? Like, I've generally never understood why they've never been allowed to be asked after a game. Like, a player gets interviewed or a coach gets interviewed. Like, why can a referee not be asked, like why did you, like, here's a look at this, what do you think?
Aye, I totally agree with you, Mikey. Even getting it like like a half-hour cooling down period. Even like managers should be allowed to get in and ask the referee. Do you get what I mean? See, like if I said to we Gavin Stratton, look, dig me up a video of that bit and that bit and that bit. I'm going to ask him about them. Do you get what I mean? And the manager even being allowed to get in and ask them about it, and then the manager coming out and saying, look, I've asked the referee about that incident and I'm not happy with the explanation, but I can't do anything about it. But let somebody question the mistakes that they're making. Do you get what I mean?
You know what? See that decision at the end of the game when Bernabei was literally just going to square it in the box for a tap-in for 7-1, and then he blew it. Gave the free kick to Hibs. That's like a Saturday or a Sunday amateur game when you're pumping somebody like 10-0, and there's like 2 or 3 minutes to go, and the referee just blows the whistle because he feels sorry for the other team.
Aye,
that's what it felt to me. It was like,
yeah, it did, Mickey. Yeah, like
we'll just call it a day. That like.
Is it going to change from next week? Do you think? Are these decisions like?
No.
You can't put this stopping the ball inside the box down to cheating, Mark. That's just poor refereeing. Do you know what I mean?
No knowing the rules.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to, Paul. Well, I'm not saying they don't know the rules. They're not applying the rules.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know that's a big difference if
they know the rules. It's all going to be opinions.
But refereeing shouldn't really be opinions, Mikey, should it?
Yeah, but I mean, when it goes to VAR, other than an offside, because of the lines, you can't really, the offside's offside. But see, wait until we see, like a handball or something. Like, it's just interpretation.
You see, my biggest problem, and Mark, you said the exact same thing, and they said it on Sky Sports today about a tackle. If you're going to slow down a tackle, and you're going to slow down a handball in slow motion, you're not seeing it in real time. Do you get me?
No,
you know, that's the biggest problem. Paul, yeah.
For me, Paul, VAR should be the referee. If something gets caught up, the referee goes out to the side of the pitch and looks at it. And see, like we've spoken, sure, that's having a toe offside. Now that's a lot of garbage for me. See, the referee should just have any seed. If I was staring right at that when that happened, would I have seen that? That's the only question for me a referee should be asking. And that, do you get what I mean? Without all this, even technology, bending lines and lines here, there, and everywhere to show
Exactly, Mark. And they're showing
if I was staring right at that, could the human eye catch that? That should be the only credential, I think.
And another thing as well, like they're showing referee different angles of tackles and stuff like that. They're going to look worse in different angles. Do you get me? As you said, they're like keep it in the line of the referee. And if the referee,
because let's not beat about the bush. It's actually, for me, VAR's actually changing the rules of football.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get? I mean, VAR could win you or lose you a Champions League final. It couldn't win or lose you. Be like Mikey, what age were you when you won the Scottish Cup?
What Scottish Cup?
Did you know win the Scottish Cup when you the youth?
Sorry,
Scottish Cup? Aye.
12 years ago.
Right, but even in this day and age, that VAR's not going to affect a team like that winning the youth Scottish Cup. So, but football was meant to be a game for everybody. Do you get what I'm saying with that? It's changing. It says right, so our leagues get VAR, but so the game in our Premier League's going to be different for the game in our kind of second division, third division.
Mm-hmm. And what happens when the Celtic come into the Scottish Cup, the fourth round?
Aye.
So when Celtic, just say Celtic, you probably know what I'm going to say. What if Celtic go away to Bonnie Rose? Is there going to be VAR?
No, that's it. Aye, but Rangers could be playing Kilmarnock at Ibrox and there'll be VAR. Is that going?
Yeah, that's what I mean. So, but normally then, or they'll say VAR comes into play in the semi-finals when it's at Hampden. But then it's either in the tournament or it's not.
Aye, that's bang on as well, Mikey. That is
because
they do that in the Europa League and the Conference League last season because some of the clubs didn't have VAR and they brought it into the knockout stages. Then when didn't they do that at the Conference League? Didn't they?
Aye.
But how did we bring VAR into Celtic Park, Denmark, when we didn't have VAR? So the facilities are there to implement VAR through Sky. With Sky cameras, they'll use the Sky cameras if that game's on the day.
But even at that, Paul, I think if your game's live on the telly, you've got like I don't know, say 18 cameras or something like that. But if your game's not on the telly, you've only got 8. So even that's not. I mean, it's just overload 18 cameras. But do you get what I mean? It's still the rules are the rules and boundaries are the same for every team in the game, and that's part and parcel of what football should be, Paul. The rules of the game's like standard through every level of the game, sir. VAR, the English kind of that ruined it. Mind when it first came in that World Cup, the Russian one, wasn't it? And that's what the refs in that done. Even they went out and looked at the monitors and it was the ref's decision. But now there's these people up in gantries and that sending their decisions down to them. And, well, it comes to Scotland, it's who's up in the gantry, isn't it? And the referees now get the backup. Oh, I checked VAR and I still agree with it. And that's him out the soapy bubble.
Do you think that's going to be an issue? It's going to depend. We say if we had VAR now and we had Beast on and we'd Welch then up in the studio, will that make a difference, Mark?
I think so. If they're incompetent at refereeing, they're not going to be any more competent in VAR. Then that's I mean, we come back to that thing at Dundee United when the referees get caught cheating and that. Do you get what I mean? I mean, we've caught them doing it.
The way I look at it is, see if you've got a fucking idiot. You didn't, and he's got a small tool. You didn't give a fucking idiot a bigger tool to use there.
It's true.
That's a good point there, Mikey.
Yeah,
that's I mean, because they've already got a god complex as it is.
Aye,
they'll be at that screen more than the game's running. I would love to be see how much the ball's in play with the new VAR system.
And you'll see all the hand signals getting accentuated. And do you get what I mean?
Well, that's what Paul. Did you watch?
I see they just are horn moving a wee bit. It's big points there everywhere and big when they're going for it's big massive screen shows. Do you get what I mean? As you said, Mike, you're trying to just look at me, get the camera on to me all the time.
Yeah, Paul, you watched the Man City Liverpool game, yeah? Right, and obviously Man City scored a goal, Phil Foden, and it got ruled out
The
because
foul,
Erling
yeah, was
Haaland,
pulled back for the foul, yeah.
supposedly tugged Matip, right? If that's the case, then why isn't there about 10 penalties a game?
Exactly.
Because that wasn't any different than what happens in the box at every single corner.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong.
And-
Actually, I can't Liverpool, so it makes it even worse. But that's what I mean. This is what I mean with VAR. They can't even get right down there.
They shouldn't, for me, they shouldn't be going back to the play that led up to the goal about 3 minutes later. Do you get me? That's what they did, Mark, at the goal. Haaland pulled Fabinho's jersey, but the referee played on. But it was about 1 minute to a minute and a half after it.
Right,
Man City scored, you get me? And then they pulled it back.
Any foul they could kind of find it.
Yeah, they dragged it back into that foul. And it was harsh. Like it was like something what Mickey said there. Like, you're seeing that every day in the box. If that's the case, why is there penalties week in and week out in the thing? Like we saw Gianmarco's jersey was being pulled yesterday. The goal against St. Mirren there when they were pulling on Jens's jersey last week. Do you know what I mean? That's part of the game, pulling jersey.
And yet he gave a foul against Kyogo yesterday for that week.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy never even went down. It just pushed him to get a bit of space, and the ref gave a foul.
But I didn't even see it. Like, I was looking, what's that for? Until they showed the replay. Then I was looking, going, really, like, you know, and that's the problem. Like, if they're making these decisions as referees, the post and VAR is not going to get involved if the referee kind of makes these, unless it's a serious foul. You know?
I've said it when we started the pod, and even before that, Paul. UEFA should take care of the refereeing. That's who should be across the leagues. See all the Scottish referees, they should all need to apply to join a UEFA register for club for refereeing. And if they're good enough to make you register for whatever country, do you get? It'll be like, right, use around Cyprus this weekend. That kind of thing. Do you get what I mean? Every referee that wants to referee in a top league needs to apply to UEFA, pass their test, and then UEFA decide, like, right, that wee group is like, well, you've got like, mind when it was World Cup games, like 3 Scottish guys went all together, kind of thing. Right, that wee group of Scottish guys, they're going out to Cyprus this week. They boys from, I don't know, Norway or Denmark, they're going out to do the Scottish games this week. That's where it should be, and UEFA should be keeping that and keeping the levels, and it should be UEFA's guidelines that are always being followed, like a governed body rather than just going by league. Because then you go to Europe and different things happen. Do you get what I mean? You're going to countries that are using VAR against countries that aren't using VAR and stuff like that. So it's something that I definitely think that refereeing should be centralised with UEFA or even FIFA, them jointly or something like
that. Yeah, and what does that mean actually? Somebody just went and sparked it there in the chat. I just went and remembered.
Unfortunately, referee.
That we're getting watered down VAR. What the fuck does that mean?
Well, I don't know. I've never heard of that, Mikey.
And that is true. We're getting like it's no as basically the full package is what England and that's got. We've got like the watered down version of it. We got the knockoff version. Is that what it is? Because we're a poorer country. Is that what
you're getting the GA? We're getting the GA Hawkeye. Sorry.
Welshie and Jerry's done the software and the feeds in that for it.
But I mean, when you think about it like that,
how are you getting a watered down version? Like, it's either VAR or it's not VAR.
That's what I mean. Like, that's what I mean. If it isn't the VAR that everybody else has got, then why would you be using it?
You know,
like, I just don't understand what they mean by that.
Unless they got off the cheap off Russia.
The time castle will be a farce, because they're animals at that ground anyway.
But that's what I was going to bring up. Do you think VAR is going to have any impact next week on these tackles that we know we can expect from a Hearts team, Mickey? You'd like to think so, really, wouldn't you? You know,
the problem that Hearts have got, and I checked earlier because I had Aberdeen on the day to win, and I think they pumped Aberdeen anyway earlier the day in the league. Yeah, they won 2-0. Hearts are like, if done United and Ross County that pick up results next weekend, and we pump Hearts. Hearts can go nearly bottom of the league.
Jesus.
Hearts are absolutely stinking. I mean, look, Hearts are 7th on 14 points. And the bottom of the league, Ross County, are only 5 points behind them.
And Craig Gordon will probably still get goalkeeper of the season. You know,
So,
Aye, probably, aye. But see, when you get back to that, but just with VAR as well, I mean, they brought it in Germany. There was guys lost their jobs in that for they were getting involved in match fixing and that through the VAR system over there.
really.
I mean, I went on about it on the forum at the time, Paul. Dig stuff out and put it change it, but there was a lot of stuff there in Germany, and it was getting kind of serious. A lot of high up folk lost their jobs over it and that, and they were kind of, it could have really hurt the German league if then they get put a stop on it.
Jesus, man. I don't know, Mark. Will this bring out things in Scottish football that we're seeing here, like these tackles from Longstrong and stuff like that? Because I think if they're going to use VAR the way they do down in England and slow down his tackles, it's a sending off. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
You know, so
I agree with Mike. I don't know if it's going to be a good thing or a bad thing. Here at Airport, Bundesliga, VAR testing in crisis after German chief sacked after allegations he manipulated video referee in favour of his favourite club, Schalke.
I think I saw a documentary about that actually.
Aye. In a way, there's a pile of stuff in it, how it was all starting to get a bit shady kind of thing over there. And, I mean, that's another thing you've got to watch out for as well. You're going about like the gambling, Mikey agrees with me that about gambling, advertising and helping gambling in football. The foothold that gambling's got in football now is it's strangling it's strangling out the game.
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
Celtic should never have a sponsor of promoting gambling as in daft about that. I don't care how much money they give Celtic. Celtic are not going to try and insult me by saying that they couldn't get a sponsorship of equivalent in value from a food company or anything other than gambling. Gambling's a major problem within this country, and people have got bad.
Gambling and drink. There's a reason there's a reason that Celtic aren't allowed to wear these strips in other countries, Mike, ain't it?
Well, that's why even when I bought the new Celtic top, I'll never ever buy a top with a gambling sponsor on it ever.
Nah, I totally agree with that. A day it's like, I mean, years ago, Mikey, you're into your F1. I can mention the F1 cars had like Regal King size and Benson and Hedges and stuff.
Yeah, Williams and Rotman used to be on the Williams.
I've got
snooker and the darts and that. It was all tobacco companies, and they done away with that. And
I got a massive
gambling and drinks the same.
I got a big massive scale car, a Michael Schumacher's Ferrari for 2001 that I got given ages ago from my mum and dad. It's so smart, but it's an identical replica of it. And right on the back wing, it's got Marlboro.
Aye.
And they were in. Well, I still think that they know the biggest flag company in America.
Aye, I think so. Aye.
And like F1 took a stand and was like that's it. I mean, ironically, they'll still go to every oil-rich country in the world for like F1 tracks and that.
Aye. But I totally agree with that. Things like smoking. I smoke, but I still disagree with advertising it and ramming it down people's throats.
Mm-hmm.
Same with drinking, same with even gambling and stuff like that. It's because, as you said, Mikey, as well, it's society's problems we've got in Scotland with gambling and drinking and stuff like that. For Celtic to be encouraging that, doesn't sit well with me.
A weird one as well. I don't know if you've noticed the manager of the month thing. Andrew's won it a few times, and Simon Ferry and what's the ginger-headed guy that used Paul Slade go and interview the manager after the man of the month, and it's presented by Glenn's Vodka. Even the manager of the month is sponsored by a vodka company.
I've never noticed that. And is that no a cheap fucking JK vodka?
Yeah, you can use it to get pent off your hands,
it's not exactly classy, isn't it? No, being sponsored with Glenn's Vodka. I've never noticed that, Mikey, but that's the same. Well, that's the exact same thing. Why, just to get some kind of money? It's like what I said the other night about people that say, don't bother about results in the Champions League.
Yeah, I've just went and checked there. Yeah, they've got a partnership with the SPFL. And they've even got a brand of vodkas with the SPFL branding on it.
I think the way the Scottish football's wanted to want Mark, they'll sell their soul for a bit of money. You know, that's
the problem.
That
Money's
seems to be Yeah,
Just ruined football.
it has ruined the game. Like, so look at this.
I've
Bruce
just been reliably informed by a source that vodka is no cheap. It's the same price as Smirnoff.
That's because of taxes and that stuff. Back in the day, you used to be able to get a litre of Glen for about 11 quid or £9 or
Was it?
something.
Aye.
The only reason it's caught up in prices because legally it's got to because of that. Remember they put all the tax on all the drinks in that mind. They're like this.
Oh, aye, right.
So all the drinks got to be a similar price.
I can vaguely mind it, but I thought it was cheap stuff, that Glen stuff. But even that, Mike. I mean, you go to why they hear one. Dougie Park's want to fight with this cinch mob or this car dealing, all this carry on, right? So why does Dougie Park not say, "Well, I'll sponsor that Manager of the Month competition"? Do you get what I mean? I'll go up against Cinch. And I know they're getting this every day that was mentioned at the Cinch Premiership. But every time, I'll have a Celtic manager standing there with a wee plaque saying Manager of the Month sponsored by Parks of Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. I mean, Mikey says there'll be probably buttons they're getting off it too. But again,
when was the last time this will be interesting. You maybe know better than me. When was the last time Celtic had a sponsor, their main sponsor, that wasn't a drink or gambling related?
I think it was the Ford Peoples, was it?
Was it not NTL?
NTL, I would be
NTL, yeah. NTL, Didier Gas and Leonard Larson used to have the jersey, the yellow one. That was the yellow one.
Did Carlin after that then? Tenants, was it?
Carlin, aye, that would be it, aye.
Carlin then Tenants, yeah.
It would be like C.R. Smith, Peoples, then that like the NTL deal. But again, that would see all the sponsorships. That was all firm sponsorships, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We the sponsorship, they had the same sponsorship.
Yeah.
Aye.
But Mark, we were talking about Man City.
See, just before we move on, just on that, see, even down to the fact, Mikey, the money we making that, Paul, different. Why can Celtic not just have a foundation badge on them all the time? Does Celtic really need a few £1 million off a drink or gambling company so often? Do you get what I mean?
Well, I was going to go the opposite way. I was going to say, you see Man City, their owners calling the thing.
The Etihad.
Why can't? It's the way David Desmond Mark putting money into
just have a sandy beach resort put on it.
Yeah,
because that's what these big teams do. That's how they get around the financial
fair rules. That's where you're going to put money into the company. This is this big deal. Their sponsorship fee, €30 million. They're going to Celtic sponsor the jersey. Do you know what I mean? He's not doing nothing wrong. PSG doing it for years. Man City are doing it for years. Arsenal are doing it now. Do you know what I mean? That's called the Emirates. I mean, that's how they got money into their club. You see, Barcelona selling their rights, Mark, to Spotify. They put Spotify in their jerseys. Do you know what I mean?
In Barcelona, they were one of the first kind of big clubs that they went down the charity route for a while, didn't they? Was it UNICEF or something they had?
UNICEF, yeah. You're telling me, Mark, Celtic can't attract a company to sponsor them.
What is it they call it? Kind of like a blue chip company, into they call these big kind of high end companies. But you can't tell me that Celtic can't get a sponsor across the world.
Exactly.
We're appeal across the world. For somewhere, I mean, even Japan. Could we not get one of the Japanese core companies to kind of have a wee?
It'll be interesting because the Dapperbet deal ends at the end of the season.
Oh, does it, Mikey? Aye.
Yeah, it started in 2018 and ends in 2023, and they get $2 million a season. It was only a 10 million deal over 5 years.
Right, well, that's exactly what I'm saying. The Celtic really need that £2 million a year to basically sell their soul. Aye, £2 million.
That's 100% accurate, yeah. And their deal with Adidas runs out next season, and they get 30 million. 5 million a year plus 2 million for winning leagues, so they get 7 million a year from Adidas. Big difference.
That's no a lot either, isn't it? No.
It's not bad, like you said. It's not
Adidas though, because I like the Adidas kits. I like their.
I hope they keep Adidas. I agree with that. I get that daft a bit. I think so. I think Adidas will be happy enough with with the money they've been making over the last couple of years, kind of thing at office. But I would
There's
like
a
to see
rumour that I heard.
that.
There's a rumour that I heard, and they've just went to over Roma, and that I know the snobby Celtic fan will hate this. But if you actually look at some of their kits, they're coming massive. They've been about for years. It's the kit manufacturer Macron, and it's their rumour.
Jeez, I remember Macron. Jesus.
Yeah, they wanted to bid for the Celtic kits, and they see some of their kits are absolute crackers.
Are they?
Yeah.
They made Motherwell strips at one point. That's the only thing I know about them. I'm sure they made Motherwell strips at some point.
But
are they rich in that, Mike?
Yeah, they're coming really, but they just went and bought Roma and that, kind of like all their kits and that.
The Roma have nice kits, actually, don't they, Mick?
Yeah, that's what I mean. So there'll be, like, whether it's Adidas or not, I'm always quite confident with most manufacturers in this day and age that it doesn't really make much, other than Puma. I've never seen Puma make a decent kit yet.
Oh, they made some decent Dortmund tops, did they know?
Okay, that's Dortmund. If you can name me another, look at what they've did to Man City. They've probably got the ugliest kits I've ever seen.
Is that who's making Man
City?
Yeah,
shocking.
I couldn't even have told you that, to be honest.
I hate jerseys when the crest is in the centre.
It's horrible. Yeah. The only one that I've ever liked with that is Celtics in 1997-98 with Larson with the dreadlocks. I quite like that. Yeah. That was one of my first main kits, the Umbro one.
The Umbro.
Yeah. That had the one right in the middle. Well, that'll be a big thing.
I was there, the Nike. I wasn't really impressed with many of the Nike strips in that, to be honest.
No.
The one, the actual, even the quality of them.
Yeah, I went and bought that Bumblebee top. Remember, Mark, we were on about. Remember the one for 2010?
Aye.
One that Roy Keane that thing. Like, I managed to get one at Robbie Keane that wore that, and the quality of that is second to none. Like, but there was a few Nike tops that were poor. But I mean, have all Adidas kits for Celtic been good so far?
They have really. I liked them. Yeah, really did.
But I'm even talking about the actual quality of them in that, Paul.
No, I managed to get burn marks with a flare that in Germany, so that was good. So there must be some decent quality. Like, yeah, they burnt mine to death and they managed to get the burn marks out. So
mine Nike were coming out with all this part about the strips are made for recycled plastic bottles and stuff like that, and you were washing them and they were bobbling and stuff was falling off them and stuff like that.
Could be Castro.
That's what's hilarious. They're going about it's made from recycled material, but wanting to charge you £100 for it.
Aye,
ridiculous.
Prices of strips it's shocking as well. It really is. I mean, imagine you've sitting there. You're a Celtic supporter, but you've got two kids in that you take to the games and stuff like that, and then they're just piling out strips after strips every year, kind of thing. It must be costing these guys a fortune, man.
See the things, Mark, when I was growing up, they used to change. We said a home jersey 1 year, and then they away strip. Now they're bringing out 3 strips in 1 year. Do you know what I mean?
That's what it was. That's exactly it, Paul. You get a new home strip 1 year and a new away strip the next year, a new home strip the next year.
You have 3 brand new strips, Mark. Or no, you could even have a 4th jersey. Do you know what I mean? You know, just to have they're like, what is it?
They've got a European jersey or something like that, innit?
Yeah.
I never normally buy a top, but I bought one because I was going to Germany, so I got the home one with no sponsor. Kyogo on the back in Japanese. And I got the Champions League patches on it. Delivered to my house, £107.
Jesus Christ.
That's a joke, isn't it, really? But
you know what I mean? And and obviously I got it out.
My first Celtic top came in a cardboard box. Right? It wasn't even made of silk, it was your old fashioned kind of material, do you get what I mean? And my mum had to sit and sew the badges on it. My mum had, honest to God, the badges came in a wee pouch separate. My mum had to sit and sew. Honest to God, that's what strips were like when I was like really young, trying to get they weren't even replica strips. They were official, but there was no badges attached or nothing. It was just a green and white hoop top, and it see the wee white V bit with white pointy collar. Can you mind what I'm talking about? It was that top, but my mum had to iron they came a bit later on. You could iron them on. My mum had to sit and stitch these badges onto the tops and that.
You know then what poor fucker's mum then couldn't saw when the fucking
The badges like
badges
badges were sitting. In fact, you know that I think back in that, my mum must have gave that into a shop to get that done because I knew
putting
my
on,
mum could have seen
trying to put on the jersey, Mark, and the back stitched, the front is stitched to the back. I can't get his head through the jersey.
I mean, look at that. There, Joseph. Here, I have 5 kids. Do you know what I mean? Imagine there, Joseph. I have 5 kids. What about that? I mean, what's that? They make you pay the £107. You're talking about 60 quid for a kid's top, the same kind of thing. I mean,
probably about 70 if you get the stupid patches and that on it.
I mean, imagine you get out there and your 5 wins all screaming for every Celtic top and that came out.
The football's not for the fans anymore. You know what I mean?
No,
it's a business. Football is a business now. Like
money and tourists, Paul. That's what it's all about. Money and
like
tourists.
I've got a wee one on the way over, so that'll be another expense.
Aye.
So I'll be able to tell you soon enough how much it costs.
But even look at the prices of these baby stuff.
We'll buy them. Me and Jack will get your first Celtic top, Mikey.
Yeah, Christ, I hope he won't be stitching on the badges.
What? Jack will sew in the badges.
But like I say, even if you look at if you go in the Celtic shop and like look at baby stuff, because obviously that's natural for people to go and like look at that stuff and that, and it's a shock. It is really a shock the price of certain things. Like that.
I can only imagine. I was just about to say it. I can only imagine a junior top now for a 15, 16-year-old is nearly the same price as an adult. Do you know what I mean? You know.
Yeah.
Unless you know someone like I did and get off the back of a truck, you're kind of fairly sorted. You know, but we keep that hush hush. You know.
That's all they want. It's just money all the time.
No, that's it.
And that's
putting pressure.
And this is when fans start to get ratty and pissed off when they go 5, 6, 7 games and the performances are dire. You know what I mean? Because guys are paying a lot of money, whether it's kits and travel and season tickets and that. And this isn't about Celtic fans that have got like a God-given right to demand what they want, but they just want a bit of effort. You can get beat, but it's got to be effort in that.
You don't mind getting beat with a better team, Mikey, and better players, but you're expecting that. Well, see, that's right. There may be a wee difference of opinion with the Real Madrid thing, Mikey. I was not happy we get beat 3-0, but I thought
you're happy with the performance
for the first hour, Paul. To get, I was delighted with the way we played in that first hour, but as Mikey said earlier, we did still get beat 3-0, but it was still there was positives to take for it. But for that game, for that Real Madrid game to yesterday, there's really nothing been positive to take for watching Celtic.
Hopefully, this is. Do you know what I mean? Like yesterday's performance.
We've turned a corner.
Yeah, like it wasn't expected yesterday, Mark. Looking the way we were playing. Do you get me? As I said it to you, Mark, when I saw that lineup, it's going to be a long day. You know.
Yeah, an infant baby, Celtic babies 2022-23 away kit from £38.
Jesus Christ!
I wish I'd kept my mouth shut in that one now. The Celtic infant. What's the difference between an infant and a baby?
Because that'll be an infant 0 to 3 months, and then 3 months to 6 months is a baby.
Celtic baby socks. It's only the away stuff in the infant and baby section I'm looking at. Celtic baby socks away, £7.
I'm surprised they didn't have daff a bit on them.
No, they don't. But
I
mean, £7 for a pair of socks.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
But I need to go and shoot off, guys, because I need to go and get there.
Yeah, we let it there anyway.
I will be boosting anyway shortly, Mikey. But thanks for coming on, Mikey, mate.
I've enjoyed it again. It's always good to hear Blether on a Sunday.
Aye.
So, we'll be back again Thursday night, I suppose, after the Motherwell game for match reaction. Then we look more deeply into Hearts.
The Motherwell game's an early kick-off, Paul.
It's 6:15, yeah. We might do it Wednesday night.
Maybe do a wee hour after the game.
Yeah,
I'm going to the Motherwell game, so.
Are you going there? Aye.
How far is Motherwell from you?
It's not too bad, actually. It's just beside M&D's, is it? It's not far from that, is it?
So, Mikey, we'll see if you're saying Motherwell's not that far for you. My house isn't that far for you.
Yeah, like I'm half day.
See
that
if you're,
day, so I'm gonna
see
go.
if you're, but I don't know what motorway it is, but see whatever motorway it is, you turn either left or right, and you're going to Motherwell and you're going to Hamilton. It's probably the same distance.
Yeah, it's not too
I'm
bad.
not, I'm not inviting you up to Steyr. I'm just letting you know that. If you're like...
Mikey's trying to get out of it there to stay. I don't know if I'm going now, actually.
So
That's
maybe
it
do
for
a wee
tonight.
hour depending on what time the game finishes at, right?
Exactly, right. Exactly. That's it, lads. Mark will close the show.
Right, thanks very much, Paul. Again, Mikey, thanks for coming on. Everybody that joined us in the live chat, thanks very much again. Really appreciate all the support and that. If you know how, please hit the like button and leave a comment as well. And if you can, share it on your Twitters and whatever. Thanks very much again, lads. Hail, hail, good night, and God bless.